Hello, Simon.
Hello.
Thank you for your time. We are up in the mountains in Switzerland, and you're a filmmaker, films that get awards. You are an environmentalist, and also there you got an award, the German Conservation Award,
Yeah.
and much more. You founded several institutions, organizations, and so on. You have a movement, sort of, an heart project, Abenteuer Schwarzwald. So you came on Forbes 30 under 30. So obviously you are very successful. And I wanted to ask you, you for yourself, what do you think made you come so far? Why are you so successful?
Well, thanks first of all for having me. It's a real pleasure and honor. I really appreciate that. And to come to your first question about being successful, that's a really a big question, because what means success? Like, I think it's always, of course, it's nice to have, like, to win awards and everything, but I think it's a big question that I've often thought about, also in the last year, and it has changed a lot. In the beginning, when I was 20 years old, I was striving, to become the best photographer and the best filmmaker, and like to be really good and, like, win all the awards and stuff. So it was also a time where I was, and like really driven to become really good at something, which has also brought me a few awards and that stuff. But in general, I think what has always been more important to me than success was like making a difference or having a purpose in what I'm doing. Like, especially, when you do something every day or like 200 days of a year, it's such a big part of your life. And I think I've always wanted to do something that matters and that makes a difference. And I think it would be such a waste of my lifetime to go out and do something just to receive recognition or something. And then that's why I really enjoy working in those fields that I'm working in, which is really mostly about trying to protect nature with the work that I do, and trying to create a more just world by the documentaries that I make about migration and integration of people.
And this Abenteuer Schwarzwald is an eco project with young people. You try to bring young, I don't know, students or whatever to enjoy nature, and then they get like sort of messages of your message, or how does it function?
How much time do we have?
We have endless time.
The long answer, and I'll try to keep it short, is basically me and a friend, we went. So this project Abenteuer Schwarzwald and the Young Explorers in the Black Forest, it exists for over 10 years now. And it started in 2014 when a friend of mine and me, we went, and they founded a new national park in Baden-Württemberg called the Black Forest National Park. And we heard about this, and we were so happy about it that there would be a protected area in our state in Germany where there would just be protected forever, and there would be no human interference. So we wanted to be part of this somehow. So our idea was to make a film about it, of course. And then we came up with this project idea of filming and photographing the first 4 seasons in the national park.
Ah, that's it.
And then we spent 1 entire year basically going to the national park every month, filming the change of the seasons and photographing and everything. And in this year of photographing and filming, we spent so much time with the rangers, filming the birds in the forest and learning about the place. And the idea was always to show the people in Baden-Württemberg how beautiful this place is and why it's important to protect it.
Mm-hmm.
And in this time of filming and sharing it online on Facebook and social media and stuff, we realized that because we've been there with the rangers and we experienced it firsthand, it's not enough to see it in a video.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go there.
To feel it.
And experience it. Yeah, you have to be there. Like nature is of course something nice that you can see on the screen with music. But like in order to really feel it, you have to go there. And then together with some friends, we came up with the idea to invite young people aged 16 to 19 to the national park. And so they could like spend 1 week there with us together and experience what we had the chance to experience, like to be in nature, to take pictures, to learn from the rangers about the ecosystems. And then with the idea that they would become ambassadors themselves again, who go out into the world and share it with their friends, to multiply people who care about this national park and want to protect it. Because it's even though it's protected by law, it's something that you can always see in the history that when there's an economic crisis, the protection of nature becomes less important, and nature is seen as a natural resources that you can just help yourself from. And I think it's especially important to like connect young people with nature, so they, that's our future, so they also understand why the ecosystems and intact ecosystems that are not, being changed by human interference and economically used, why they are important to have.
Super. So it matched ideally.
Yeah.
It matched you being environmentalist and being filmmaker. That's the point. Now I see. But coming back to these important traits, would you say, what would you point at the most important of your traits that brought you forward? It's courage, it's empathy, it's resilience. What do you lean on?
I wouldn't say it's courage, but maybe it's the lack of fear. So like a friend once told me, like, if you like, what's the worst thing that can go wrong?
Yep.
And that's always what I ask myself when I try out a new project, or when I try something that might seem scary or uncomfortable at first, which is often the case, and then I'm like, because sometimes we make our decision based on, and this could go wrong and that could go wrong, and I'm always trying to play in my head, if this fails, I maybe lose like 2 months of my life, or like it'll be 2 months later, but I'll still be at the same place as I was before. But if I don't try, I'll be in the same place for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
So why should I not try,
Yeah. That's a lack of fear. That's great. Do you have a role model?
You could say so, or like, a big part of my life that has really changed me, and I was referring to that person just now, is a friend. His name is Mike Horn. And when I was 14 years old, I had the chance to travel with him on a sailboat in New Zealand. It was like a youth program similar to the one that we're doing now in the Black Forest. And on this journey, when I was so young, and I had the chance to meet someone who inspired me to follow my dreams, and that gave me a lot since then. And I think from the age of 15 to 19, I was volunteering with that program and helped a lot, inspire other young people. And it was actually in the Berner Oberland we had in Châteaudet. We did also similar youth camps for 4 years with people from around the world. And I was working with Mike Horn for those 4 years on this project, and I think that time gave me a lot personally, and and I haven't seen Mike in many years, but he's still like a really big role model, inspiration to me, just for, it's shaping my life also in such a big way.
Ah, good. So when you try to inspire young people, do you give them advice?
I try not to give advice.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's it's a tricky one, because I don't want to feel like it's really hard to know, like, especially, I mean, now I'm 30, but I still don't know it's still hard sometimes to tell what's right or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't sometimes know if I'm like in a position to give advice. Like, people ask me all the time, would you, like, I never went to study,
Mm-hmm.
and I just went to start my business after high school. I went to my parents and I told them I want to become a filmmaker, and I would like to try to be a filmmaker for 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
And if I fail, I will go study. But then I never failed, or like however you want to define it. And I kind of kept being a filmmaker for the last 10 years. And then people ask me always this one question is like, would you recommend to go the same way and not study? And I find it hard to give people like the advice to say, you should not go study, because I don't know if it worked in my way, because I'm also a curious learner and I love to read books and watch YouTube videos and educate myself about stuff.
Yep.
And I had a privilege of having a good network at a young age, but those two things you usually find in university.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, like, I wouldn't recommend it to somebody else.
No, it was adequate for you, but
Yeah.
who knows for who else?
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew that everybody would ask you. And you were self-employed at what age?
18, yeah.
Yeah. You just jumped into it.
And what's even funny is that when I was 18, I asked like a really successful entrepreneur who was like 50 at the time or something, if he would recommend it to me.
Uh-huh.
And his answer, and I will never forget that, he was like, well, he doesn't know if he would recommend it to me, but for sure, if I start with it, I will never go back.
So clear.
And now I know why, because I think you get really used to being, so flexible and having the freedom to be your own boss and to choose your life and to kind of decide every day how you want to.
You cannot go back, for sure. So dealing with all, trying to have a meaningful life, to have a bigger purpose, you have sort of a utopia or a vision, the ideal world could be, should be?
Well, I think one, and this is something I've been thinking a lot about in the last few years, especially. I think, if speaking environmentally, socially, I think I would love to live in a more just world. And I think one of the most important ways to change that, to live in a world where where nature is better off, where we have less wars, we have fairer ways of migration, and like people looking for asylum. I think one of the best ways to change that is to have more women in powerful positions. I think, there's, especially these months, there's so many arguments also going on about how whenever there's something negative happening, it's usually caused by men in powerful positions. And I think that's something that would actually lead us to, that would solve a lot of problems in this world.
And why do you think women would have this effect? Due to their way of being human, or it's just why? I
would say it's maybe, and of course that's not always the case, but it would be usually a more thought through decision making process, maybe. And at the moment, it's not about having women in all powerful roles, but having the equal amount of women in powerful position as men. And we're really, really far from that.
Really far?
And I think, like, I'm not saying like if women rule the world, it's a better place like entirely, but I think just the fact that there's so many more men in powerful positions, and to where this has brought us at the moment with, like a lot of wars and crises also going on.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly think that a more balanced gender in those decision-making positions would actually change a lot.
Great. So we have all our hopes on Kamala Harris.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
For sure.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you for your speech and your information. Thanks.
Thank you.